Alright, so we have Maui from Moana playing an anti-hero in the DCEU. Let's see how this goes. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Black Adam. Black Adam is the new spin-off of Shazam as well as the 12th film in the DCEU currently, directed by Jean-Claude Sora, starring Dwayne Johnson. The film follows 10th Adam, or Black Adam, played by Dwayne Johnson, who has been freed from his tomb after nearly 5,000 years when he was given his almighty powers. When he's freed in the modern world, he's prepared to unleash his unique form of justice. Black Adam was a DC Comics character I wasn't too familiar with, apart from he's a villain to Shazam. A solo movie for Black Adam has been in development ever since the 2000s, and this has been a role Dwayne Johnson has been eager to play. And when the trailer came out, it looks promising and hopefully could be a fun time. Dwayne Johnson seems like a good choice for Black Adam and was curious to see how he would do in a big comic book movie role like this. And this is now Dwayne Johnson's second DC movie this year after DC League of Super Pets. Now I actually saw DC League of Super Pets late in theaters, didn't have time to do a review on it, but surprisingly, I actually enjoyed that movie. I thought it was funny, entertaining, solid voice cast, good animation, and had heartfelt moments. While not perfect and jokes didn't always land, but I actually found that movie surprisingly enjoyable, so I would give that movie 3.5 stars out of 5, a B. And personally, I think the DCEU has been a mixed bag. While there are a few films from them I love, such as The Suicide Squad, Shazam, and Wonder Woman, other times their films can range from enjoyable, mediocre, or absolutely terrible. So I was hoping Black Adam would not only be an entertaining entry in the DCEU, but I believe it had potential for an interesting solo movie for this character. And I was looking forward to seeing Black Adam, and I saw it Saturday night with an open mind. Regardless of some of the mixed reactions I've been hearing, some people enjoying it, some people were in the middle on this movie, or some people disliking it. And last I checked, this has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not really concerned about Rotten Tomatoes before I watch the movie. Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. I just want to focus on watching the movie and form my own opinion. So what are my thoughts on Black Adam? This to me is a disappointing and adequate addition to the DCEU, unfortunately. While not one of the worst films in the DCEU, I thought Black Adam was fine. Let's start with the pros. To start things off, Dwayne Johnson truly gave it his all as Black Adam, and this certainly felt like a role he was born to play. Now, I can understand why he's been wanting this movie made for so long. Just from the first scene he's unleashed from his tomb, Dwayne Johnson elevates such a screen presence that really set the stage for how powerful Adam is. From that moment onward, Johnson incarnated how merciless Adam is. His backstory as a slave never felt rushed, that made him interesting and sympathetic, and along with a great combination of screen presence and badassery. A part of me was worried I was going to be distracted by Dwayne Johnson and not really see the character. Given Johnson's status as a big mega superstar actor, he's one of, if not the biggest stars in Hollywood and one of the most charismatic. But surprisingly, I wasn't distracted by that and was able to enjoy his performance. After watching the movie, it's really hard to imagine anyone else in the role besides Dwayne Johnson. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where they take this character in the future. As for the supporting characters, the two standouts for me were both Hawkman and Dr. Fate. Aldous Hodge as Hawkman was not only awesome, but has great interactions with Adam about their ideals, which I found some more interesting highlights of the film. And Pierce Brosnan is excellent as Dr. Fate, who is the senior member of the Justice Society of America, with sorcery powers and he can see the future. And he kind of did remind me of DC's Doctor Strange. But Brosnan was awesome in this movie, and it was great to see him in a comic book movie role. And Jean-Claude Sora, apologize if I mispronounced that name, but I thought he did a solid job directing this movie. Superhero movies nowadays always gets me interested to see a lesser-known director given a huge budget, and seeing them get the opportunity to see how they will handle a big comic book movie. After coming off a background with some horror films such as Orphan and The Shallows, a few Liam Neeson action movies, and last year's Jungle Cruise movie, also with Dwayne Johnson, and I thought he did a good job handling this type of film by staging the action, making it fast-paced and exciting, and some solid visuals for the most part. And I also want to give props to Lauren Balfe, who composed Mission Impossible Fallout, and I really liked this scene for Black Adam, thought it was great and fitting for the character. And sadly, that's where my positives end, and now let's get into the negatives. My first flaw with Black Adam is the story. It not only feels somewhat generic, but feels style over substance. The story feels relatively basic, with a MacGuffin involved that feels like been there, done that. And due to how fast-paced and action-packed this movie is, I felt like the action hampered the story and the character development in this movie, where I wanted a little more breathing time with character development. And speaking of which, there are two weak links in the cast. One is this kid in the film who Adam befriends and who is also a comic book fan. Unlike his mother, which another pro I forgot to mention, I actually did like her. And I even liked that she wasn't a useless damsel in distress and was actually helpful to the team. But her son, however, I found to be 50-50. At times he did an okay job, he wasn't too bad, but then other times I just found him annoying and he kind of got on my nerves a bit. And second was Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, who again does a fine job for what he's given to do, but again his character just feels forgettable and underdeveloped. He did have his moments in the action with his powers growing big, kind of remind me of Ant-Man when he goes big, but also his attempts at comedy just fell flat and really weren't that funny. And even Cyclone, who I didn't really view as a weak link in this movie, who has some cool powers but again doesn't really feel particularly memorable and also feels underdeveloped. Generally, while there are some solid visuals in this movie, I found the visual effects in this movie to be a mixed bag. At times they look good and reasonable, but then there are other times with Cyclone's powers that just looked unfinished and some spotty and noticeable looking green screen that took me out of the film. And another big issue I have with Black Adam is the usage or overusage of slow motion. At the beginning it didn't bother me that much, but as the film progresses, it started to vex me to the point where I felt like it's overstaying its welcome. Basically, the fight scenes were like, bro. And at points during this movie, it just felt distracting and unnecessary. Like this one moment in the third act that's supposed to be this motivational moment for Adam. And the slow motion in that scene just was so distracting, I just thought, just please stop with the slow motion already. And lastly, the villain in this movie. Now, the villain for this movie was not in any of the trailers. I can see why. This is a very lackluster villain that's super forgettable and not entirely menacing, all while lacking an interesting motivation or screen presence. And this villain is so forgettable and bland that I forgot what this villain's name was after I saw the movie. And it kind of did remind me of the third act in Wonder Woman with that twist villain reveal. I just thought, really? This is our villain? And in my opinion, this is one of the worst DCEU villains, up there with Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, Enchantress in Suicide Squad, and Steppenwolf in Justice League, not Zack Snyder's Justice League. And honestly, this villain seems kind of shoehorned in just for Black Adam to fight. In conclusion, despite Dwayne Johnson giving it his all as Black Adam, Hawkman and Dr. Fate were awesome and as serviceable action scenes, Black Adam is a mediocre addition to the DCEU. Due to an awful villain, forgettable and underdeveloped supporting characters, and a generic story that also feels style over substance. I was hoping for something more. I saw the potential for an interesting solo movie, but in the end, I left feeling underwhelmed and I didn't feel like this movie brought a lot to the table, unfortunately. If a sequel is confirmed, I am curious to see where they're going to take this character in the future, and especially hearing plans what they're going to do with him and Shazam, which I definitely want to see. Speaking of which, I'm definitely excited for Shazam Fury of the Gods next year. That looks like a blast. And honestly, that's the only DCEU movie I'm excited for next year. I'm not excited for The Flash nor Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom for obvious reasons. But for the sequel, I'm also hoping for a much better script and story with hopefully better results. And if you do see this movie, definitely stay for the mid-credit scene. All I can say without any spoilers, although I actually had that mid-credit scene spoiled for me before I saw the movie, but nevertheless, it was really cool, and I'm excited to see what they do with that. And for the mid-credit scene, you definitely don't want to miss that. And now to grade it, I am going to give Black Adam 2.5 stars out of 5, a C+. If you're a fan of the DCEU or this character, I do think you should give this movie a chance to see it for yourself if you like it or not. Now, where would Black Adam rank in my DCEU ranking? Currently thinking about it, out of 12 films, I would probably place Black Adam at number 8, in between Wonder Woman 1984 at number 9 and Aquaman at number 7. And 7 through 9 in my DCEU ranking, that would be my meh or mid tier of the DCEU. So I would like to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Black Adam if you've seen it? Do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you looking for the film or not? Let me know below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here. Don't forget that notification bell for my next upload. It really means a lot. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.